I also made the case for owning Bitcoin, the quintessence of scarcity premium. It's literally the only large tradable asset in the world that has a known fixed maximum supply. By its design, the total quantity of Bitcoins cannot exceed 21 million.
Bitcoin is the hardest money that has ever been invented.
If you don't have my private key, you cannot spend my Bitcoin, period. And this is the power of Bitcoin.
It's the first time we figured out how to create true property that you can take possession of with full custodial rights.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking in Bits, where we walk you through Bitcoin bit by bit so we can provide you with the information you need to succeed and persist. Back with episode 61, got some amazing people here in the house that are willing to give me their time. I got Dickerson here, CEO at THNDR Games, and I got Jack Everitt, also CEO in a different way. I'd never seen that before of THNDR Games. Thanks, guys, for joining me. Appreciate it.
No worries. I'm actually CXO.
Is that okay?
Yeah. So yeah, it's CEO because it's like Chief Experience Officer, but it's a different role. Yeah, CXO. We change it, isn't it?
Jack is
that a common thing?
I call Jack the founder too. Jack founded the company, so he's founder and CXO.
Yeah,
we're getting it.
CXO, that's the first time I heard of it. So I'll correct that. CXO, CEO, thank you guys for joining me. Before we get into all the cool stuff that THNDR Games got going on and we talk about the company a little bit, I'd like to, give you a little bit of, some time here to let the listeners know more about you guys, whether that includes your Bitcoin story or not. I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, I can go first. So, Bitcoin story. So I've been actually working full-time in Bitcoin for quite some time. I was at Lightning Labs as VP of Business Operations for about 4 years. And one of the cool things that I got to work on was business development and really had a bird's eye view on what was being built on top of the Bitcoin and Lightning networks, and got to kind of see those ecosystems evolve. And one way that we really looked at it was, by use case. And we were thinking about okay, how do we onboard the next billion people? And that was something that the team really thought about. And one of the ways that I thought was the most interesting was gaming. Obviously, selfishly, because I really like video games, but also because, in my view, it is the least friction. It has the least friction in terms of onboarding. So, you think about everyone goes through that familiar flow of downloading an app from the App Store or Google Play. And, we've all done it. We've all downloaded apps. We've all probably downloaded games as well. And you download it. And with our app, our games, you just download it, you play, and you win Bitcoin. There's no insane onboarding process in terms of KYC. You don't have to sacrifice your firstborn just to get some Bitcoin. And you don't have to spend your own money. Although I know we all think of it as, dirty fiat money, but, most people are working incredibly hard for their dirty fiat money. So with your first experience with Bitcoin, the best way to do that is by earning it or winning it for free. So that is kind of the experience that we offer for our customers. And we really view gaming as the logical on-ramp for onboarding the world to Bitcoin. Jack, if you want to introduce yourself.
She made it tough, Jack.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and simple. So I've been doing mobile games for a long time, since the App Store first started, and also been in Bitcoin since 2013, where I guess like everyone else, I just jumped on a hype, at the top of a hype cycle, probably bought some Bitcoin and just then it crashes. That's everyone's first step into Bitcoin, isn't it? The unsatisfying loss of buying Bitcoin and then you're already losing money. I was in it for the tech, let's say, and so I did some Bitcoin mining and just some trading and bought shit coins and just realized all of this was a waste of time and just turned into a holder of Bitcoin, and that was it for my journey for a while. And then when the Lightning Network came out, I was like, whoa, shit, we can actually put this into games because it solves a lot of UX problems that on-chain Bitcoin had. So I did an experiment and created Bitcoin Bounce for the Lightning Network conference in 2019 that was in Berlin. Took it, and it was like my icebreaker. So I'd show people the game and say, I'm working on this, what do you think? And so I could make some friends. Desiree actually was part of the organizational team pretty much
for the conference. Yeah.
And so I didn't actually meet you there, but then Desiree and I met in virtual reality when the coronavirus hit. The Mint Gox, was it the Mint Gox virtual reality? Yeah. So the first Mint Gox was an esports tournament virtual reality event. And the first one was like, I don't know what it was really like. It was like a networking.
It was like the guys at DeFBeD, Jack, myself, I think Udi was there too. Yeah. And we had all just like kind of met up to talk about doing this esports tournament online because, you know, obviously everything was, shut down. There's nothing going on at conferences. So we all like met in VR, which is like totally strange. So
yeah. So like literally with the goggles on and everything?
Yeah.
I've never done VR, so I'm
love it.
Desiree looked exactly the same, and I think I was like pinnacle. Like an alien or something.
I don't remember. I love VR. I could spend like hours. I mean, I have spent like numerous hours playing like Beat Saber and all that fun jazz. So
yeah, I got to catch up in that instance. So was Lightning actually already being done in games before, you know, that whole where you guys decided because everything is shut down that we need to do something and start giving away Bitcoin for these games or these esports? Was Lightning already a thing?
Yeah.
I mean, and excuse the ignorance, by the way. I just haven't been following that.
The Lightning Network was definitely around. I mean, Jack was definitely one of the earlier people. There's obviously a big shout out to like Chris Moss at DeFBeD, Mandel Duck, who was building a lot of neat things.
Satoshi's Games had a website where you could Bitcoin really playing Mario, I think.
Yeah, then they like kind of built their whole like 8-bit arcade with Lightning payments, and also Konstantin Nick, you know, he had built Bitcoin Bounty Hunt, and it was really good. So there was, you know, even before October of 2019, you know, people were hacking around doing some really cool stuff, and you know, I know Chris Moss, he had been thinking about this for like a long time and really tried with like doing Bitcoin gaming. And, you know, he's really been around for a while. So yeah, it's, you know, it's still very new. Right. So,
definitely. Yeah. I got introduced to Lightning with, I think it was 2020, November, and it was just a podcasting thing, the value for value that was going around and, you know, the whole podcasting index. And then slightly after that is when I bumped into what you guys were doing and actually played Bitcoin Bounce. That was my introduction. Still love it to this day. I say that old statement of like, if I could get $1 for every time I had to wait for my wife, well, now this is actually happening in real time.
Wait, I love that. We need to start using that.
Yeah, no, it's legit. Like she's habituous late at things or takes long. And it's like, I'm not a big mobile gamer before Thunder games because it's just no reason to play Candy Crush for 300 hours and get nothing in return. And now the incentives line up for me to say, well, not only can I kill some time and play something really cool with an easy entry point, as you guys said, but yeah, that time doesn't get wasted. I get some sats for it. It's incredible.
We have now 4 games in the App Store and Google Play. Bitcoin Bounce, Turbo 84, which is like an endless runner type game, you would say. And then we have Thunder Bay, which is a match 3 bubble shooter. It's super cute. It's got like this little cat. He likes to drink cocktails on the beach. And then there is Snake, which is my personal favorite.
Love it.
It's just, everybody's played Snake. Like everybody, it's like the OG mobile game. And we created that because we were like, okay, you know, we're having these conversations, you know, a lot of people like yourself, like I was never into mobile games before either. Like there were a couple, but I wasn't a mobile gamer. And so like, how do you introduce people both to mobile gaming and Bitcoin, right? And so if you lower that kind of barrier to entry and play on the nostalgia factor, they're like, okay, Snake is super simple. Everyone knows about it. Even young kids, like I've been surprised, they know Snake. So they've already gotten past all of that piece because they already know. And so it makes it much easier to explain to them the Bitcoin piece. So
Yeah, no, that's actually fascinating because, you know, I think about onboarding people. I always think about like the private key aspect of it and getting them to cold storage. But you guys have literally just eliminated all that complexity by saying, hey, try this out and you'll be able to get these sets, which is fascinating. I love Snake as well. I do got one question that probably you guys have gotten a gazillion times in this. I remember in my old Nokia phone, I used to be able to traverse past the screen and go into the other side. Was that on purpose? Did you guys leave that out, or was I just playing a shittier version of Snake?
No, I think that one, the no walls, was the second version, right?
Yeah, that's Snake 2 with no walls. And we went for Snake 1 because like adding the walls makes it harder for people creating bots to cheat, because otherwise they could just do a script that made the snake go down, 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 like, you know, in a circle. So because the walls are there, it adds an obstacle that is harder to make a script for.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense. I didn't know I had part 2. I just thought I was always playing Snake. So learn
something.
We
get a lot of requests for doing the walls, and doing no walls. I would love to do no walls because it's like more chill. Like Snake right now stresses me out. And so take the walls down, it'd be great. But obviously, yeah, there's some constraints. So we're like currently working through that.
Well, now that you say that, it sounds like you guys are working on the games and the apps internally. Can you talk a little bit about, like, do you just partner up with developers of apps, or do you got a dedicated team to making apps? How does that work in-house?
Yeah, you want to take that one?
Yeah, we've got a studio, gaming studio in-house. So we develop all our games from the design process to actually, you know, all the way through to launch, which has been really cool. We've got a few games coming up soon as well, which we're really excited to release. So we can work with third-party game studios if they want to work with us. We're open to every, you know, all games and opportunities. Our goal is to onboard the world to Bitcoin through mobile games. So the more games that are out there, the more chance we've got of orange pilling everyone.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you never know when you'll have like a massive hit, so...
Yeah, definitely. All right. So another question on the, you know, I was thinking leading up to this conversation about the history of incentives in video games, and, you know, way back to just having the top score on the arcade machine to like the more common, you know, Xbox achievements or PlayStation trophies or whatever. Where does Bitcoin, to somebody who doesn't understand Bitcoin, because it's obvious to us why, where does the sats come, you know, where does it compare to the other old incentives going forward? Like, is that like a hard thing for people to understand, that these little sets are much more important than these trophies?
No, I think it's very logical for people, much more than like pointless in-game currency. I mean, the first, like, you know, the first games that like we're aware of happened in the Paleolithic era. So that's like a really long time ago, obviously. So, you know, gaming has evolved alongside humanity. And what's really interesting too is that the transfer of value was always a part of gaming. And there's evidence of like gambling and betting also as early as the Paleolithic era. So, you know, there is a very strong argument to be made that gaming was always, or that value transfer was always inherently a part of gaming. And only up until, you know, you see like regulations, like legality issues coming into play, that games were stripped of value, right? And so that kind of like got into, you know, I think that the one thing that kind of deviates from that is like, you know, the arcades, because that was, you know, obviously people were paying to play, or, you know, you get tickets in return, whatever. But then also, you know, that it's just been completely stripped also when like connected gaming happened, like social gaming. So now we're like, you know, you can play with your friends online, which you would think, oh, cool. Like, you know, you can add value back. Like there's a way to do that. But it hasn't obviously been done. And there was no value layer ever built into the internet. So it's obviously very difficult. Like, you know, $1, it's so hard to just like send $1. So why would anyone introduce value to gaming? And then, you know, all of these massive companies, these like massive corporations that do traditional gaming have been built on this on this kind of archaic system where there is no value. And these companies are just like draining money from players who are there to have fun, and they have to pay for the game, they have to pay for the console, and they have to pay for the game, and they have to pay for the subscription, and they have to pay for in-game assets. And it's literally just a one-way value sink. And, these people, and they're also being monetized. Like you get ads in games. Like I remember playing Fallout, and there were like Monster energy drinks everywhere. And so it's like, you're literally basically a slave to these video game companies at this point. And they're just profiting off of you. And you can go down the rabbit hole. Like obviously they're collecting all this user data as well. So, how do we like bring that value back into games and empower players, empower them financially, empower them for the time that they're spending in game, empower them for the value that they're bringing back to these companies. And I think like the most logical way is just simply through Bitcoin and not anything, no other of this like really complicated scaffolding like blockchain gaming and NFTs. But that's like my very long spiel. I don't know if you want to hop in, Jack.
No, I think you covered everything.
Yeah. No, I've went through that whole phase of like, the original Xbox and going through and, being able to just, the barrier was low to be able to play with my friends. And then it actually started getting to the point when it came to like the 360 and that stage where, like you were saying, Des, it was like, oh, I have this map pack, but my buddy now does not have this map pack. And for some reason now our $300 console and our $60 game are not compatible overnight just because they released some type of software. And it's always been mind-boggling. It's a shame because as an avid gamer myself growing up, it kind of seems like I can't really give that to my kids. Not because I don't want to, and we do have an Xbox and we have a Switch and all that stuff, but because the industry has started to become just a pocket grab for the parents, right? It's like, hey, you're always going to say yes to the kid, so here's a new DLC, here's a new subscription, here's a new thing. And that kind of just took the fire away from gaming from me.
Well, also the other thing is like these games like Roblox, these kids are like making all of this content for these games. And Roblox is making more money off of user-generated content than they're putting out themselves. And so, I mean, wow. It's insane. They're like literally like basically like child labor. It's like...
That's fascinating. I never thought about that.
And it's like, these kids are like generating massive, massive amounts of value for these companies. And why are they not being compensated? Like, why can't kids get ahead financially for the time that they're spending these games and the stuff that they're creating? Like, why is that not possible? And it's because like these traditional gaming companies have these walled gardens. Like they have like, this is the status quo. Like they're never going to give up power because they literally do not give a shit about anybody besides their bottom line.
Yeah, I didn't think about the whole Did that start with Minecraft? That whole process of just getting people to build stuff and then kind of rug pulling them without them noticing?
I feel like...
Because I didn't think about it till you said it. Now I'm like, fuck.
I'm not like super into fan fiction stuff, but like, there's always been this type of like peripheral market and like value creation that happens around these industries. So, I've just very briefly read about, like stuff like that fans create around like Star Wars or, other types of that type of fan fiction. And even though that the companies don't particularly like drain value from that creation, it at least props up that industry or props up that like movie franchise. And like they inherently then make more money. And that's like more of an indirect way of profiting off of user-generated content, but like now with like Roblox and like Minecraft, like this is literally directly profiting off of users.
Yeah. I don't know if you follow this much, so it's sort of like a beef that I got in a sense is when the creators kind of get their stuff, let's use the word compromised here. The real word is stolen. So like, a lot of these new creators, these young and up and coming people are getting famous on like the TikToks of the world. And, they have this massive talent, making up new dances, making up new whatever it may be. And then Fortnite has a DLC pack or something that comes out where they're, the little avatars doing the move. There's no royalties being paid to the creator. Do you guys follow that, or is that just me?
I follow it more in the like the fashion industry and like fast fashion. So I do see a lot of creators like like Shein and Zara and H&M like often like just totally steal designs, like copy paste. It's not even like changed at all. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's like a whole nother topic is like, create like empowering creators. And I think just in general, Bitcoin fixes that, hopefully. Right. I mean, and that's, the rise, like, I think NFTs, like, they come from a place of really wanting to solve that problem, but I don't think it's necessarily executed correctly. But, I think that at least it's, shining some light on the fact that people are generating value and they're not being compensated for their work.
Yeah, I see it all the time, left and right. And it's just a shame because, ownership, right, is one thing. Me as a podcaster, I like to think of, all the episodes I've ever done being, my proof of work, my resume that I can hand out to people. And I'll be damned if somebody, just takes something clever that I would say, which is probably never, but take it and put it into some type of, profitable machine, and then doesn't recognize all the due diligence that it takes to, get the cameras going and keep all this stuff. I'm more focused about it because I grew up in like the music industry and I see what the record labels are doing. But now that we're talking about gaming, like the example I gave, I see it happening in Fortnite, just taken from the creators. I do think Bitcoin can solve it, Lightning specifically. Do you have any ideas off the head on how it can be solved? Is it just like a direct channel being opened up to a creator where they can kind of get some sats here, or just freestyling off the head?
Well, I mean, because Bitcoin is programmable, you can program it to, like the DLCs, you can program it to pay out if certain outcomes happen. So, but it's still quite structured. You still need to know like all the parties involved to be able to do those payments. But you can certainly, if there's like a company who wants to create some kind of royalty-based thing. So like your Roblox example with the children, like slave labor, they can set it up so that, like a percentage of the money that goes or gets automatically paid by everyone. So the sats are streaming into your Bitcoin wallet in real time, so that like, they can't ever be taken away from you. They can't like save them up for a month and then say, no, we've decided to close your account or something. You can reduce the risk of you being cancelled and losing all your money. I think it's definitely going to go that way. Like you see it, like you said, with the podcasting, people, are using the Fountain app. I don't know if you're a part of that, but
shout out to Fountain.
Yeah, shout out to Fountain. They're kind of working on that problem for podcasters, and which is really exciting. It's just going to be done brick by brick, isn't it?
Yeah. And I know Crypto Graffiti, he does DJ sets where you can split payments between like the producer, like the artist, whenever like you're at a club and it's like you're getting tips, streaming sats, like it's automatically split between like the people who created that content, which is
cool. Even drill down to whoever the drummer was on the track, could be like getting sats because it's all like programmed to go to the people.
That's
true.
Like
Spotify could work like that, can you? Every time someone listens to a song, the royalty goes to like literally the 100 of people who get royalties, or films, like watching a film.
Oh, that's true.
It just makes, those people who get the royalties from a film, like, probably have to wait every 6 months to get their check. Whereas if they just use Bitcoin, it'd be like they're getting their money as soon as someone watched the episode.
I don't think people that like realize, most people, I didn't realize that like there is that big gap between like when people do work and get paid. I mean, I'm just so used to like getting paid once a month, but then like, obviously, we have ads in our games and we get paid for those ads. It's one of our like paths of monetization. And I didn't realize until I started working here that like it takes a while to get that money, right? And that's just like wild to me.
It takes like 2 months to get the money, and like within that 2 months they can always say, oh, actually we're closing your account because we don't like your game or something, and you could lose that money. So it's like for that 2 months, you're like at risk. That money's not yours. Yeah,
exactly. And then, obviously we have an international company, and there's like so many like foreign currency, like fluctuation. I mean, it's very small, but like if you're doing the accounting and like running the budget. It is very problematic because it's like not knowing how much like revenue we have for 2 months is like,
crazy. Yeah. No, and depending on, the situation, you put a lot of control into those entities. Like, I'd like to think the Spotify example, it's like they may cut you out of royalty check, but they're also putting, the smoke and mirrors for you to actually see real numbers, right? You don't know what you're seeing. They could tell you got X amount of numbers when really you 5X that. And then what you're getting paid out is being literally devalued. As with the Lightning, as I'm sure you guys know, it's just going direct. There's nobody taking a piece of it. So, I do think it's going to go into music next. I've ranted on this podcast about how, the whole Jack Dorsey, Jay-Z thing with Tidal, that being an avenue right now for, fuck the record labels basically, and getting artists to start getting their full currency and getting rid of Spotify. You guys are doing it with games. So I definitely see this new wave of like, forget those entities. They don't work. Pay your value directly to your creator. Well, not your creator, but you know what I mean. The creator who put that work together. So yeah, it's interesting things to come for sure. I think my question, and I don't know, how hands-on you guys are with the actual like working with Lightning, is how difficult is to work with Lightning in the sense of liquidity, in the sense of the technical specs? Is it a pain in the ass as I hear, or is that just, going to get better over time?
Yeah, I think it's not that tricky. It's just like learning a new concept, but there's not a lot to learn. Maybe there's a bit of a steep learning curve at the start, but there's only a few concepts. Like you just basically described them. And there's loads of communities like PlebNet and Ring of Fire that you can join, and everyone's like trying to help each other learn how it works. And with like, if you run your own node, you don't have to become a routing node. If you just want to do payments, you can just set up a couple of channels to big nodes, and most of your payments are going to be absolutely fine. So I think it's probably not as hard as people think. And I encourage everyone listening to get an Umbral node, or like at least join one of these communities, and it's fun, it's fun.
There's so much, I feel like there's, from when you started to now, there's just so many like more dev-friendly resources where you have like LDK now, right? People really like that. There's like, in my view, like there's a lot more like better documentation. So, I think it's slowly getting there. I think that's one thing that we severely lack in the Bitcoin community compared to like Ethereum or these other blockchains. Like you have to hand it to them. Like they make it so easy to use their tools, right? And I think that's slowly being addressed.
Is there a reason in your opinion for that? Like why Bitcoiners? Because Bitcoiners, I'd like to say, are the most informative people around. I mean, they battle politics, they battle world news, but why can't they just give proper documentation? It sounds like they're lacking, the community.
I think it's just because Bitcoin companies, there's less of them. They got less investment, or they're not like creating coins out of nothing and selling them to retail people to get loads of money. So they have less resources to do the documentation. That's it really. I think it's just going to take a little bit longer. And also the kind of like Lightning nodes are they're really for developers, aren't they? They're not supposed to be super user-friendly for end users at the start, but I think with Umbro it's starting to get like that. It's just taking like some companies with some good, like really nice, a vision to bring it to end users.
I don't even know if it's like good or a bad thing, because also it's like, Jack started forever ago where it's like, we do have all of these like really user-friendly solutions coming out, but like there's no reason for us to use them because you've already built everything by scratch. Right. I mean, he's already done all of this. So it's like, he understands the network and he understands like the technology at this like really, really deep level. And like, I find it incredibly valuable. I think there's going to be less and less people like him where it's like, we're constantly talking about like, okay, like how can we like gamify the node? Like, how can we like, do different stuff with the network? And like, I think when you abstract all of that from, your business, you actually like lose out on like ways to like monetize or ways to like optimize the network. So, I think there's like, it's a, a two-sided coin where it's like, I think we have something so valuable at our company that like your talent is like is going to be more rare as we progress and like we make it just easier to just like plug and play Lightning. Not that we shouldn't do it. It's just, it's just the other, edge of the sword.
So how do we get more Jacks? Have you guys thought of like, maybe easy onboarding programs for app developers? Because, I mean, I imagine that I used to briefly try to get Android apps. I used to work in Android, and the Google Play Store and the Apple Play Store are, basically pillaging off the developers. And now with what you guys are doing, it's like you could bypass it by having a free app, but still get value and monetize in different arenas. So, yeah, how do we get more Jacks to think like Jack? Are you guys trying to spread that around, that information?
Yeah, so whenever we have a new person join our company, we try and get them, like onboard them onto an Umbral node, so they learn how to do like a channel, or just they kind of like do it on their own, because it's kind of fun, isn't it, setting up a node?
Oh yeah,
especially with Umbral, because I think we're shilling Umbral quite a lot. But there's other products, the other ones. I
have a Raspberry Blitz,
yeah,
and my node, and Start 8.
Start 9.
Yeah, Start 9. Yeah,
they're all really good. But so, like when I mentioned PlebNet earlier, there's like, I don't know, 10,000 people in that.
Yeah.
So that 10,000 people all understand how to do a node. They understand how to do channels. This is where like the Bitcoin companies can find this talent. If they need someone to run their node, they can just put an advertisement in one of those chats, and all of those people will probably want to do that job because they love it. So I think they are there. It's just people don't realize it yet.
Yeah. I think also someone was at the conference was talking to me. They're like, I think that every company will have one person running their node.
I'd like to live in a world like that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. There's I don't know if it's a secret anymore. So I work for Unchained Capital, and there's a gentleman in our team that's he's the Lightning expert. Not per position, but everybody goes to him for his node questions, and I believe he speaks highly of PlebNet as well. So yeah, as well those things. Okay, so like mobile, we understand low entry to barrier. Everybody already has a phone in their pocket; they can download apps. Do you guys ever scale up to actual consoles, and how far away are we from that?
I really believe in not trying to do everything all at once.
Nice.
We are like laser focused on our mission, and, our mission is bringing Bitcoin to people through games. And I 100% know that's not going to happen through console gaming right now. There's just so many barriers, and like people can't afford consoles. Like people can't even get them. I can't get a PS5. Like, it's, there's just like, it's just not the way that we're going to get Bitcoin to people. I don't think that we're ever saying, it's never going to happen. I mean, if we were majorly successful and have the funds and, that kind of market is open to accepting Bitcoin or like somehow like integrating Lightning, we would be happy to like kind of go that route. I think we are now like playing around with like browser-based stuff a bit, which I think is cool, but, PC console gaming is not necessarily on the roadmap.
It's also not where the people who need Bitcoin can't afford like a PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly.
Can they? South America, Africa, but they all have mobile phones, an Android phone. You can get very good cost-effective Android phones that would play our games. And those are the people that need Bitcoin the most, because they're the ones affected by the inflation of the dollar when they're using it as their de facto currency. So it's kind of like we're concentrating on that because those are the people who want to play our games. Those are the people. Mobile is what platform's best for them. We wouldn't, maybe in the future we'll do some console things, but it's not in our roadmap right now.
Yeah, I love sticking to the mission for sure. And it's in the ethos of Bitcoin, right? That's where we could get these, sub $200 nodes and be able to have the power of the network all over the world. So I definitely respect that. I wish the miners was kind of going down in price instead of up, but they have a different job and they have a different role to play. So I respect that. So I'm going to maybe not. Oh, Des, you said the snake game was your favorite earlier. What about you, Jack, out of your guys' lineup?
I'm just going to say Bitcoin Bounce because it's what was the catalyst for everything, really. So this is the first one.
He was going to say Turbo 84.
Yeah, I do like the style of boys.
Yeah.
I like it. I think I'm switching my answer to Bitcoin Bounce.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so I guess those are my two favorite, the ones that you guys got. I like that gratification of being able to rack up really fast tickets really fast.
Oh,
yeah. And those two games provide me that opportunity. I think the Turbo 84 takes a while for you to kind of speed up and get more tickets.
Yeah.
And I've never been I'm going to say Candy Crush fan. I know that's not what THNDR is, but that type of, sitting down on my phone for too long. So I guess I'm just high time preference in games, and I like those two games. But
I love Candy Crush.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Visually, it's addicting. I mean, the thing is, like, I see my wife play, and it's like those combos start ripping through, and I'm like, your brain is just spazzing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Super cool. So what's, you guys have had since 2019, you guys launched, you've had a Series A round late last year?
A seed, yeah.
A seed round, and I'm not the most business savvy guy, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And then I heard you say earlier, Jack, that you got a few more games in the lineup. Besides that, what's next for you guys? What do you guys see yourself in maybe a year from now?
Overtaking the world.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, our mission is to be like in 10 years' time, when everyone thinks back to where they got their first Bitcoin, we want them to think, oh, when I played Turbo 84 or so anything that our next plans is just to facilitate that. So we want to scale fund the games up this year. So we're literally onboarded. We're like the premier way people are getting onboarded to Bitcoin. And basically we're hopefully just like get Bitcoin into as many people's hands as possible, and then have a platform to teach people about Bitcoin. Like we really want to be like the start of the funnel to all the way down to where they actually run their own node, because we run our own node. Our employees run their own nodes. We want to be an example to these people as well. So we get them in, they use Wallet of Satoshi or DeFBeD Wallet or Blue Wallet or whatever, get their first Bitcoin, and then their journey is like everyone else's. They end up with a node because we think everyone should run a node. Well, I do.
For sure.
No, I agree.
If they want to.
They will. I mean, we like Jack said, we have like a lot more games coming out that are kind of, I feel like, just being held up by me marketing them, but they're coming. And also we have like some really interesting or fun like partnerships / collabs coming out, and maybe a product announcement. So we'll see. Lots of fun stuff, I promise.
Yeah, well, I want to circle back on the marketing end. I'm going to preface this by saying, Des, that I was going to interview with you when you were in Lightning Labs for head of meme. I think was the position.
Oh, shoot, really? Yeah, we were hiring for head of memes for a while.
I had no idea if I could do it, but I had an interview lined up, but I wanted to drop that in there. But when it comes to the marketing, so last week, in my opinion, I think you guys stole the whole show marketing-wise with the, fuck the banks condom. Yeah. Was that your idea, Des? Was that a team effort? Who gets the credit for that one? That was amazing. Des
gets the credit. Even if I did it, I'd have to give Des the credit, because I don't think a man could get away with that kind of marketing.
No,
that was awesome.
We have a lot of ideas. Jack is very supportive. And when I was like, we have to do this condom idea, I mean, I just wanted to do Thunder branded condoms, but the fuck banks was Jack's idea. So it was like definitely a team effort. And then Lightning Store, shout out always to them for the amazing swag, but he hooked it up and honestly did all the ordering and like the logistics work for us. So that was even better. And yeah, I mean, it was just like, obviously we're small, we don't have a ton of money to spend on marketing. Like just getting Jack here, obviously, is expensive. So, we were just like, we only have a few $100 to play with. Like, let's get provocative and like, throw it out there. So yeah, it was fun.
Nah, I loved it. And then the thing with Bitcoin community, at least on Twitter, is just like, they'll just meme you all the way up to number one.
That's what we're hoping, right?
Yeah, no, but I saw that and immediately I was like, this is fucking clever and it's just dope as shit. And then I started like, it percolated all over my feed and I'm like, oh, a lot of people think so as well.
Yeah,
I'm glad we have like a few people who like have access to the Twitter, so I didn't get to see all the hype around it, but everybody was like, oh my God, the condoms everywhere. And I was like, oh God, just make sure my mom doesn't see it. So
it's a win. It's just for business. It's a clean business.
Exactly.
So do you guys have any thoughts on the Bitcoin Miami last week? I mean, most of the consensus, I think, from people like me who sat from the outside was it was a shitcoin conference. I like to hear from the people that were actually there. What are your guys' thoughts on Miami last week?
I didn't, honestly, I mean, maybe, we had like a little table and like booth thing. And, I was obviously, I had great people on my panels, but I didn't see that much shitcoining. I mean, I was at the conference last year, so I actually felt like, at least in terms of just walking around, I don't know. I didn't think it was that much shitcoining.
Well, yeah, I didn't actually have time to go to any of the talks, but it didn't look like the talks, they were Bitcoin themed, weren't they? Bitcoin focused generally. And there was some like shitcoin companies, I guess, do have stands, but
yeah.
But like it's a massive conference, so you need to fill it with some things. And to be fair, that they really helped us out, the Bitcoin conference. They really support the Bitcoin companies. Like, we can't afford to have a booth or anything, but they gave us a table, and like
they definitely hooked it up for us.
Yeah, they really supported all the Bitcoin companies.
So I mean, I think as Bitcoiners, we can like kind of siphon out like the signal from the noise. And so, I do think that there was one interesting thing. We had a lot of people who weren't into Bitcoin. They were into like NFTs and other, shit coins. And they would come to our table and be like, oh, like this is Bitcoin. Like they learned a lot about Bitcoin. I had, some people in my DMs like being like, oh my God, like I never really took Bitcoin that seriously. And this is like nice. So, and again, this is another one of those like, both like two sides to the coin where it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't love shit coins, right? I mean, I don't at all. But then on the other side, it's like, there are people who are in there. And it's like, if you're attracting shitcoin people for whatever reason, maybe they'll be converted. Like Jack said, most of the talks are about Bitcoin. If they sat through those talks, like they're going to eventually come to Bitcoin. So if we can help people through that journey, like we've all been down the shitcoin rabbit hole for the worse, but we all like made it out on the other end. So I think that's very important. And then also if they're like charging shitcoin companies to make it be an awesome conference and let us show our tech. Like we did a really cool collab with SuredBits, like showcasing DLCs and stuff. And it's like, if we are allowed to do that, even though our budgets don't allow, and it's on the expense of the shitcoins, then I'm like, all right, like it's a nice compromise. So, I mean, Bitcoin Mag is doing the best that they can. And, I know people were super pissed about the shitcoins and shitcoinery, and I get it, but it's like, being there, I didn't think it was like overly shitcoinery.
No, I think it just depends on your level that you want it to be Bitcoin only. It certainly wasn't Bitcoin only in the conference. But it wasn't like a shitcoin fest. And I imagine the companies that were there were quite high quality shitcoin companies. I don't know. I didn't really walk around the conference that much either. But, they had like crypto cloaks there, which is really cool. And they had, what's that card? Shamarie.
Shamarie was there.
They had loads of really cool Bitcoin projects there.
Yeah.
All the Bitcoin projects were there. It wasn't like anyone was excluded or anything.
Yeah, even that guy with the Tesla charging on Lightning.
Yeah, that
I heard that.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it though. So I mean, it's just, it just comes with the territory of a growing industry, unfortunately. So
yeah. And a little bit of shallowness.
I recommend your listeners go to it because it was very good. And people like Des are just walking around, and you can get your photo with Des if you want. She's willing, anyone who wants a photo, she'd happily have it.
You heard that here first. If you see Des in the airport, why don't you stop and... That's the worst. I'm sorry. No. I think it's, a little bit of shallowness from the people that, some people can't go and some people choose not to go. But yeah, from the outside looking in, if everybody's having fun and you're sitting at home on Twitter, I can see where it could get really bitter fingers really quick. So...
I mean, it's not a Bitcoin maximalist conference. It's a Bitcoin focused conference.
It's a festival.
Yeah. Everyone had a good time. There was no like toxicity there.
Yeah.
It was cool.
There's a lot of I got a lot of signal from the open source stage. I didn't really care too much about the main stage.
That's what I would. Okay, well,
no disrespect, Des. Nope, I thought you killed it up there.
What? Like,
I thought you killed it up there.
Everyone should watch my talk first of all. That's fine, but no, you're right. The they did have an open source stage, which I think was what they were lacking last year, and I think that's like really showing their commitment to like, you know, Bitcoin and wanting to move it forward on a technical level. So that's nice, anyways.
Yeah, agreed.
But so, watch my talk.
Definitely watch your talk. I did not mean you. I just meant overall. But all right. So scoping out just a little bit before we go here. What has you excited about Bitcoin in the next 2 years? And you could be biased because it's Lightning, but maybe a cool project that you've been keeping your eye on, or as a company, as a person. What got you excited? I'm like just excited about like mass adoption. You know, I know like sometimes I get frustrated when it's like, why are we simping over this person or that person? Like, that's not what Bitcoin's about. But it's like, I do think it's good for Bitcoin. The more exposure that people get to Bitcoin in a positive way, the better. So I'm excited about adoption generally. Obviously, always Lightning, so won't even like show that. But the one project I'm so excited about is discrete log contracts and the shared bits team. I just think this is just like really so interesting. Like, you know, obviously we're interested in a capacity of like esports betting. But, you know, I think just like wagering with DLCs is kind of just the future of all betting. And so, you know, that's why we did the collaboration with them there. The team is just absolutely phenomenal too. Very good friends, Bitcoin family for sure. So I really encourage people to check them out in their project.
Yeah, I'm excited about mass adoption, and I like the Cash App's like starting to go all in on it as well.
Yeah, my Cash App sweatshirt.
Yeah, the Cash App sweatshirt.
There you go. Shout out to Cash App.
So the Block have got some cool projects where they're trying to decentralize identity and reputation into a wallet, basically, with a node that you run on your own phone or your own hardware. Like, I think that's really cool because it means you don't need like a blockchain necessarily to like, or tokens to do these things, which completely undercuts all the shitcoin arguments. I'm really excited to see how that project progresses this year.
Yeah, awesome. Well, guys, if I'm going to give you a second here to let the listeners know where they can follow you, where you want them to go, basically your call to action. But I wanted to thank you both for not only, you know, answering the random tweet that I shot out there, but actually giving me your time to come on here and show me some love here on the show. Much appreciated. And like I said, please let the listeners know where they can follow you and where they can see more from Thunder.
Well, one, follow us on Twitter at Thunder Games, Thunder with no vowels. Follow us on there, and then definitely join our Discord. Our Discord is like poppin'. Like, we listen to music. We have like, we literally sit 1 hour or hour a week. We sit in an audio channel and just take feedback from our users, whether that's good, whether it's bad. And we do like community brainstorming. We have like pretty much like an open source brainstorm idea list where people can dump in their ideas at any time. We definitely try and take as many into consideration. Most of them, I feel like, are on the roadmap at this point. And literally our community is building our products. Like, if you see something happening in Snake, if you see something happening in Thunder Bay, I think that is coming directly from our community. So I encourage people to come. Also, our community manager, Cody, shout out to him. He is just like insanely good, and he's so much fun. So he runs like these meme competitions, and they're hilarious. Like, I literally die laughing. I don't look at Discord on calls because I will start cracking up laughing. So the Discord, we just join it, even if you don't usually get on Discord, because it is like literally where we all hang out all the time. And then, yeah, download all of our games, literally all of them. They're so much fun. They're so cute. Download from App Store, Google Play, and then every person who listens to this, please find someone who doesn't have Bitcoin and make them download one of our games. And I'm not saying that selfishly, because it's like, you know, I said this on my talk. I was like, the world is going to shit. Like, look around you. It is burning, you know? And so it is our responsibility to save everybody around us. And the you have to do that through Bitcoin, right? And what's the simplest way to do that? Listen, mom, give me your phone. You're downloading Snake, right? Even if they just stack 10 sats, you've literally minted your own Bitcoiner, and I will give you a little gold star or a sticker. Literally, if you prove it to me, you've pink pilled someone, we call it at Thunder, then I will send you some really cool holographic stickers and some of the remaining condoms. So,
I was waiting for the condom. Like, what about the
18 and older? 18 and older. So that's my show, Jack.
No, that's perfect. I mean, yeah. That's it.
Nah, amazing. Breath of fresh air, Bitcoin only companies. You guys are doing amazing stuff. Friend of the show. If you guys need anything from the show, got new stuff going on, feel free to come back on and talk about it. I appreciate you guys.
We definitely will.
Cool. Cheers. Thanks for having us.
All right. You're very welcome. All right, guys. That wraps up episode 61. We appreciate you guys as always. You can check us out on Bitcoin TV because we want to get away from those legacy outlets. So don't use that YouTube stuff unless you have to. And we're on Fountain app and we're on Breeze if you want to stream us value for value. That's very important to be able to keep all these lights on and keep everything looking good. But we're also on Apple Podcasts and all those legacy outlets as well. We appreciate your support as always. Till next time. Later.